Jim Telfer is a living legend, one of the great characters of world rugby, and one of his most treasured possessions is a scrapbook made for him by an 11-year-old schoolboy in New Zealand back in 1966, when Jim was part of the Lions side on a tour to Canada, Australia and New Zealand, which lasted 5 months and spanned 35 games. You can't imagine that happening these days. Well, fast forward 57 years, and thanks to a bit of research by a Melrose former player Stephen Hollish, a Zoom call was arranged so that Jim could finally meet that little boy, Noel Letford, who's now 68 years old.
1966 was the Lions in New Zealand, and we all were adopted by a school, and so a scrapbook was devised for each player. But this scrapbook by Noel Letford, he did on his own in his primary school. Now, looking through it, it shows you how much research he did to find out as much about myself, about where I came from, and as much about New Zealand. It was like a geography lesson as far as I could see. And being 11 years old, as he was at the time, the writing is immaculate, and the information is second to none, and so it's a tremendous achievement because he maps the tour, and we went up and down New Zealand, crisscross New Zealand playing the matches, had 4 test matches. He has a story about every place we went. At the end, some lovely photographs of the action photographs, black and white, I must admit. Although the photograph of me in the centre with my Melrose strip, it's actually, you wouldn't recognise as Melrose strip because Melrose play in so many different colours nowadays. But it was the original Melrose colours, and it was in Technicolor. So I learned a lot more about Melrose than I knew before I went.
And he'll be absolutely thrilled, no doubt, to finally get to talk to you.
Well, I hope he is, but I don't know if he will be. You know, I'm an old man now. When he saw me, I'd blonde hair, or brownish blonde hair. I was around about, you know, chasing a ball and tackling All Blacks, or attempting to tackle All Blacks. Now I'm retired for a long period of time, but probably he's retired as well. So he's a whole life story to tell to me, and I've quite a lot to tell about myself. Actually, I was quite nervous coming down along the road because I'm not nervous normally at rugby matches, but to talk to somebody that had done such a great job on producing the scrapbook so long ago is you know, quite daunting, to be quite honest.
It's lovely to see you. I've seen the book this morning, which you wouldn't have seen for a long time. There it is.
Not since I was 11 years old.
Yeah. Does that bring back some memories for you?
Well, it's it. I remember it very well.
Tell us the story, first of all, of what happened back in 1966 when you were at school and you had to adopt a player, effectively.
Yes, our class, our school teacher was a very keen rugby man. And when the Lions were coming to New Zealand, he said, well, let's do a project. Everyone in the class needs to adopt a player. And there was about 30 of us in the class. So I can't remember how we chose our player, but I had Jim, and so that started the project. So every game we recorded as much information as we could get, but it was back in 1966. We had no internet or anything like that, so you had to rely on the newspapers, and national newspapers and things like that, or the local papers, just to try and get some information about the games. And some of them were quite remote places down on the west coast and Horowhenua and places like that. You didn't get a lot of information back up in Pukekohe near Auckland. Yeah, so we did a bit of searching.
And it's great to know that Jim, you know, treasures this as much as he does his Lions jersey.
I can't believe it. Yes, it's quite a surprise to me that it's still in existence. The book, really, it's yeah.
Let's not delay the big moment anymore. We're going to bring Jim in now to have a little chat with you, and I'm sure it'll be quite an emotional occasion. So,
Hello, Noel.
Hello, Jim. How are you?
I'm quite well, thanks. A bit older than when I was in New Zealand in 1966, but I'm fine.
Yeah, it's quite a long time ago.
Yeah, I just would like to ask you, you know, in your scrapbook, and by the way, I've taken it out of Melrose Rugby Club, where there's a few bits about me in the rugby club. That was my rugby club, as you know, and
Yes.
so I extracted it from some of the cases there, the glass case, and so it has been kept, you know, for 60 odd years now, in not there but in my house and so on, along with other mementos.
Yes.
And it will go back to Melrose Rugby Club once we've talked this through and you know, talked together. So, you know, in the book, you say you're 11 years old, you're captain of the rugby team and so on. Did you play rugby seriously when you left school?
I played rugby from when I was about 5 years old, and 27 years old, I think I stopped playing. But I played in all different grades. I actually made you know, senior rugby for a number of years, and made one provincial team. I played for Thames Valley in the you know, senior rugby competition, and made you know, I was a very keen rugby player, very keen.
At first 5'8", you always played first 5'8", did you?
Mainly until I got a bit older, and then they moved me out to the centre. Yeah. And
did you coach after that?
No, I didn't. No, yeah, I guess I just my career, I guess I moved around the country quite a bit. I'm a banker, you see, so the job took me here and there, and so I guess I never really stayed in a club for many years at a time. You know, it was I played for a number of clubs around the countryside, yes, but I never took up coaching. No.
Can you remember how I received the scrapbook? Because that bit I can't remember.
Well, I think yes, the Lions team came to visit our school when they came to Pukekohe and played a midweek game, and that was a game before the last Test match in Auckland, I think. So after that game, we then collected as much information about that, then as much information about the last Test match in Auckland, quickly put all that into the scrapbook for the last page, and then our teacher, I believe, gathered all the scrapbooks and managed to deliver them up to the Lions hotel, and they were distributed amongst the players. I
couldn't remember how I received it, you know, and it's got a, you know, well, you know the scrapbook, it's all about the districts and then the games and the photographs. But I was actually adopted also by a school, Papakura High School.
Oh, yeah.
It's up the road from you. Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
And you'll probably remember that the captain of the Papakura High School then was Bob Lindrum.
I know, yes, now, yes, that's right.
He played once for the All Blacks in 1973 as a fullback, but purely by accident, a few years ago, he was traveling Europe and with his wife, as a lot of New Zealanders do, and he was in the Borders, where I stay, because I've moved around a bit like you, but I've ended up where I started. And Bob came to my house on his way up to Edinburgh with a chap called Barry Kean, who had been a teacher in Hawick. And so I met the captain of the rugby team that produced the scrapbook, and you know, he presented it to me then. So I mean, Papakura, I've been there with the Lions in Pukekohe in 1983.
Yes,
played a game against counties because your captain at that time was Dalton. You know,
Andy Dalton. Yes,
Andy Dalton, right. The captain. I think he actually won. So that's the only time I've been in Pukekohe.
Right.
But I've been a few times back in New Zealand, first as a coach, and then the last two times I went in 2007 because I'm quite friendly with a chap who lives in Dunedin. You may have heard, remember him, Tony Gilbert, who was the coach of the All Blacks with
right. Yes.
And so I went on holiday in 2007, but mainly to the South Island, and then I was out for the World Cup in 2011. It's great to talk to you, And,
Indeed.
and thanks very much for the scrapbook. It's been well talked about.
It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Jim. I'm so excited to have actually been able to do that and to see you. It certainly takes me way back. 1966 was a long time ago.
A wonderful story that warms the heart, and great to see that that school project back in 1966 has led to a meeting which brought the two of them together after almost 60 years.